That was good.
Okay. Excellent. Perfect. Thank you so much. I got the thumbs up, so that is fantastic and excellent. Good deal. So I think as we have additional people just kind of popping in, popping out, want to go ahead and get started. So welcome to the VP of Alumni Relations Town Hall portion of this evening. So we want to make sure that this is very laid back, very informative, very interactive. So please, by all means, jump in with questions, utilize the chat function, make sure that you're asking clarification questions. Evan and I are going to be tag teaming here tonight. I'm in the role of the main presenter, but Evan, feel free to chime in at any point in time. He is also monitoring the group chat and just monitoring people's hands being raised, mutes, things of that nature, but just a few tech pieces to kind of remind us all of, please, if you can, put yourself on mute so that there's no background noises. I love to see your smiling faces. So if you are comfortable and you've not already done so, please start your video. And then, we already talked about using the chat and raising your hand to ask any questions, or chime in, unmute yourself and say, hey, Jessica, go ahead and, I need some clarification, or I have a question on that one. So for those who do not know me, my name is Jessica Seitz. I have the honor of serving Alpha Kappa Psi as the managing director of the foundation. I am celebrating my 20th anniversary with the organization actually this month. And so I have held numerous roles over the year, everything from, thank you, happy 20th, everything from director of student services. I planned a lot of our meeting and events for the organization, and now I'm very excited to move over to the foundation side over the last couple of years and raise funding to help support our educational programming as well as our scholarships. So with me tonight, I did a slight introduction earlier, but Evan Davis. Evan is my right-hand individual at the foundation. I would not be able to survive day-to-day without him. Let's be honest, he does more of the day-to-day than I do. So he is fantastic. He serves the foundation as the annual fund coordinator. And so he also is charged with doing a lot of the communication pieces that the foundation side of the organization puts out. So Evan, anything else you wanted to share about you?
One thing, I'm celebrating,
spot, right?
Yeah, I'm celebrating my first year of working at the foundation. So not exactly 20, but you got to start somewhere, so.
That's right. That's right. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So I want to hear about you. So a couple things. We would love for, Evan, if you wouldn't mind going through and just calling on people and asking them, so, hey, Terry, maybe you're first. I'm calling on you because you're the first face that I see, Terry, and I know I can count on you. Just to introduce yourself, let us know your name, where you were initiated, what school you went to. If you are a student or if you're an alumnus volunteer or just an alumni member of the organization, and how long you've served in this role, either the role of your volunteer or your role as VPAR. Kind of want to get a feel for the room. That way, we can dig a little deeper if we need to in certain things, or we can kind of be like, yep, got that, check, moving on. So Terry, I'm going to have you come up first, and Evan, if you can take it after that, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
All right, perfect. So yeah, my name's Terry. Trying to think here. I think I've been a volunteer for the region that I'm in right now for like 2 or 3 years. I'm an alumni volunteer. Graduated from Gamma Upsilon, Wichita State a few years back. Just kind of tried to stay involved in everything. I also feel like I need a bullet point list to remember if I needed to share anything else. Was that basically all you wanted, Jessica? Okay.
That is perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, so I can take it over. I see about 6 people in this box here, and then I can go alphabetically. That's how it's laid out. But Moises, if you want to go next, that'd be great.
Hi, everybody. My name is Moises Alea. I live in Gaithersburg, Maryland. I'm currently a rising sophomore at Loyola University, Maryland. And this will be like my first year as a VP of Alumni Relations.
Awesome. Rodrigo, do you want to go?
Yeah. So my name's Rodrigo. This is also my first year as VP of Alum. This will be my 4th year in the fraternity, and I'm from Delta Tau at Canisius College in Buffalo.
Awesome.
Cool. Risa?
Hi everyone, my name is Aretha Dang. I am the VP of Alumni Relations for the Iota Xi chapter at Arizona State University. I am a senior, which is crazy. And yeah, I think that's all I can say about myself.
Yeah, awesome. So I'll go alphabetically now because I can see past 6 people. And I'm gonna mess this name up. I'm sorry, but Arati.
Hi, yeah. My name
Hey
is.
guys, I'm sorry.
Huh?
Oh,
Can you hear us?
Yeah. That's someone else talking. Sorry.
No
Um,
problem. All you.
Hi, my name is Arti. So I've been VPAR now for 1 semester. I'm from New Jersey. I go to the New Jersey Institute of Technology. This is my 4th year in the fraternity. So I joined as a freshman and I will be a senior.
That's awesome.
Sweet. Adiola.
Yes. Hello, my name is Adiola Adni. I'm a rising junior at Howard University's Psi Tau chapter. I'm the EVP for this upcoming school year, and I was initiated into Psi Tau fall semester, at the end of fall semester, so I'm new.
Sweet. Angie. Ask to unmute.
Oh, awesome. Angie says, I have a lab background. Sorry, I filled in for the role of VPIR during the winter semester, but this is her first year officially in the role. She's from the Omega Rho chapter at Nova Southeastern University, and she is a senior. Thanks, Angie.
Awesome. Emily Jackson.
hey guys, can y'all hear me? Because I'm in the car.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Emily Jackson. I was initiated into the Iota Phi chapter in spring 17, which is at Winthrop University in Rock Hill, South Carolina. I was initiated 2nd semester of my freshman year, and this year I'll be a senior. So, and I've been the VP of Alumni Relations for 2 years now.
Awesome. Fiona.
Hi, I'm Fiona. I am from Carnegie Mellon University, so the Omega Psi chapter, and I just started my alumni role, so I got voted in the spring and will be doing the next year.
Sweet. Jenny.
Hi, I'm Jenny. I go to the University of Washington in the Rho chapter. I'm going to be a junior when the school year starts, and just like Fiona, I just got voted into VP of AR, so I'm really looking forward to the next year.
Awesome. Kaylee.
Hi everyone, I'm Kaylee. I am a rising senior at Nova Southeastern University with the Omega Rho chapter. I was actually just initiated last semester, and I am the Director of Public Relations for our chapter.
Great. Newper.
Yeah, hi guys. My name is Newport. I go to the University of Texas at Dallas. I'm going to be a rising sophomore, and this is going to be my first semester as VPAR, so I'm really excited.
Awesome. Tasia.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Hi, my name is Tasia. I am now officially a senior at East Carolina University. I am the VP of Alumni Relations of the Eta Omicron chapter. This will be my second year in this position.
Awesome. Jessica, I think that's everybody.
All right. Did we miss anyone? If we missed anyone, unmute yourself and holler at us if you don't mind. Yay. Perfect. Excellent. Okay. I have one more request for everyone. If you wouldn't mind, in the chat, one last thing so that we all can have each other's information. If you will just type in your name and then your email address if you're comfortable, that way we'll create a little cohort of individuals that have been on this town hall, and that way you can reach out to people as needed afterwards or whatnot. You know, that's what AKSI, one of the things AKSI is all about, is this network that we have. So thank you so much for taking the time again to be with us. And we did talk earlier in the other breakout session, you know, we are recording this, so we will get this out. I'm not sure how, we will probably be emailing you links, as well as, you know, if there's any questions we cannot answer for you throughout this evening's presentation and collaboration and discussion, then we'll definitely work to get you those answers and to provide them after the session. So thank you so much, and away we go. So as we are talking about the VPAR role, your role is really, I've got to get, okay, time out. I got to get all of the faces away from my notes section here. Sorry about that, guys. Technology is sometimes hard. So, all right. So for the VPAR role, really it's three different main functions, right? So you are charged with serving as a member of your executive board for your chapter. And most importantly, though, you plan and execute the alumni involvement strategy that supports your chapter's functions. And as part of that strategy, you are charged with hosting a new alumni orientation. So as such, throughout everything, you are just looking at answering the question, how do we increase and sustain alumni involvement for the betterment of our chapter and the betterment of our brothers? So let's dig in a little bit more on what new alumni orientation means. Here we go. So for new alumni orientation, and Evan, if you will share that link that I had sent you earlier to the group, this is what Evan is sharing right now is a previously recorded session of new alumni orientation that we actually hosted this past spring as part of our AKSI senior celebration. So you can take a look at that afterward. It follows the agenda that we will talk about, and it just kind of gives you a good idea of what we presented as a fraternity as a whole, so that you can kind of craft it to make it your own. So really, as we think about alumni orientation, the easiest way to get someone engaged is to keep them engaged. So imagine if you didn't have to spend so much time in this role developing a strategy that focused on re-engaging alumni, like finding where people are, getting them back involved, getting them back engaged. Just if you are able to capture them when they are at their most active, because they're already passionate and they never lost touch with the organization. This is one way, the new alumni orientation, that is a critical component for the success of your role. So by focusing on a positive transition from student member to alumni brother, you can eliminate a ton of work for yourself in the future. There's three main objectives for an alumni orientation. We want to explain the obligations of being an alumni member. AKSI membership is for life. When you are initiated as a member, as a brother, you know that your membership doesn't end when you put on your cap and gown and you transfer that tassel from left to right. It is a lifetime obligation, and it's a lifetime membership. There's benefits, you know, well beyond the student chapter experience. The other thing that you want to do is really review and discuss the opportunities that you can stay in, of how you can stay involved. And we'll go through a sample agenda next, but really the other thing that you want to do is you really want to celebrate your seniors. You want to congratulate them as they move into the next phase of membership and celebrate their experience as an undergrad. And this could also, this new alumni orientation could be connected to the graduating senior celebration ritual that we have as part of the ritual of Alpha Kappa Psi. As you are planning your new alumni orientation, it's an easy connection here that this could be a great way to have alumni members come and participate and assist you in co-hosting the event, yet another engagement opportunity. So this, sample agenda here, I'll explain a little bit more about what each of those are. Again, the link that Evan shared, this is all pre-recorded. This follows very much with what we did back in the spring. But really, as we're talking about how to keep people engaged, we want to ensure that people are making the connection from their student member experience to how AK Psi can really make a difference for them in the boardroom. So we, the line is taking AK Psi from the classroom to the boardroom. So really, who better to talk through that and explain that than someone who has experienced it? So when you're thinking of who could potentially come back and speak about this, think about any, newly graduated individuals who have really engulf themselves in a full-time position, who have some experience to share and might be able to provide a positive, aspect of being able to tie that which you did as part of Alpha Kappa Psi to how that relates to their actual full-time position. Additionally, here where we say navigating the My AK Psi community, Steve went through very quickly the My AK Psi community and some of the benefits that are there. But this is really a time here for, I would highly, highly, highly suggest that at this point during alumni orientation is that you ask everyone right then and there to log in to the My AK Psi community and update their contact information. You will want to have them gather and input and update their profile to include their permanent email address. So anything that is a non.edu email address. You'd be surprised how many .edu email addresses that we as an organization still have. And so then when that email address expires, which a lot of them typically do 6 months to 2 years after graduation, we lose contact with those individuals. We're never able to re-engage them because we don't have contact information for them. So a permanent email address, a phone number, and a mailing address. Now, what if someone doesn't know where they're moving to, where they're ending up? They don't have a permanent, don't have a mailing address quite yet. I would encourage them to update that mailing address to either a parent, a guardian, some sort of other permanent address, something other than 310 College Street, Box 220, Barberville, Kentucky, 46060. So that, their school address. We want something that you can mail to them the fantastic Yellow Rose Banquet invitation that you would like to invite them to and not have it come back, because that way they're not engaged, they don't know about it, and it just costs you money on that mailing, right? So the other thing we spoke about a little bit was, the obligations of being an alumni brother in Alpha Kappa Psi. And that really goes to the 3 T's, their time, their talent, and their treasure. And I'm going to put a pause on that one real quick, and we'll come back to it in the next slide. But some of the other items that you'll want to go through during alumni orientation is various engagement opportunities. Like, how can you stay engaged, involved, and informed with the organization as a whole? So we have a couple different avenues for this. One is the Sapphire. The Sapphire is a newsletter that the AK Psi Foundation puts out on a quarterly basis, and we handle that. So there is no additional need from you as a VPAR to do anything other than make sure that we have good email addresses on everyone, because that's where we send the newsletter. And that the Sapphire has everything from, upcoming events, upcoming opportunities to be engaged with the fraternity as a whole, as well as, business articles, blog posts, highlights of podcasts, reading lists, suggested reading lists, and highlighting our various different alumni, various donors to the organization. That's kind of in a nutshell what the Sapphire is. Another engagement opportunity would be the Life Loyal program. The Life Loyal program allows for additional member benefits as an alumni member, discounts to events, specific, discounts for additional educational opportunities that are provided outside of Alpha Kappa Psi, as well as other, discount programs, things of that nature. As well as there's other ways to be involved through volunteer opportunities, either organization-wide, such as, what, Terry's involved with, being a volunteer within a region, chapter advisors, regional directors, board members, management team members, things of that nature, as well as volunteer opportunities at the local level. Steve alluded to it a little bit in the beginning opening, that we are in the testing phase of a program called Volunteer Central for the organization. And what Volunteer Central will do, this will help you as a VPR tremendously to help assist with finding individuals that can come and be a speaker at your chapter for chapter events, and on specific topics, mentors, people that are just in your local area that are able to come back and be active at the local chapter. So there's plenty of opportunities to be involved there, speakers, resume reviewers, things of that nature. Other ways to be involved is at a fraternity event or local activities, which we'll get into in just a little bit. And then also there, we do have a network of alumni chapters, and those alumni chapters are scattered throughout the United States, the United Kingdom, Hong Kong, and the ASEAN countries. And so with that, each alumni chapter operates a little differently. A lot of them provide social outlets, networking opportunities, professional development, philanthropy, things of that nature. And so where those are can all be found on aksi.org. And then, we talked about a little bit before, just a celebration, really. I have seen student chapters do everything from, a highlight reel of where the accomplishments of their seniors, where they're headed next, highlighting which companies they're going to work for, where they're moving, things of that nature. We've done senior superlatives, most likely to run for AKSI president in the future, most likely to have everybody's phone number and start the group chat after graduation, all sorts of funny, silly, respectful senior superlatives that individuals can utilize to celebrate our senior members. So with that too, one of the things that you will want to do as a VPAR is to really plan out an entire engagement strategy. And what does that mean? Like, we've already talked about alumni orientation, so that's just one piece. And really, alumni engagement is circular. It starts when an individual becomes an alum, and there's just multiple opportunities throughout the calendar year for continuous engagement. Some things, like we spoke about, they can be engaged from the organization level down, and others you will want to add to your chapter's calendar of events to ensure that there is consistent and consistent outreach to those individuals from your chapter who are now alumni members. So it's really, this planning is really critical to the fraternity's success and to your chapter's success overall. So again, we spoke about, your overall objective is to keep individuals connected to AK Psi. I do want to ask that you set your expectations accordingly. What may appeal to one individual may not appeal to everyone, but please do not get discouraged. Just remember to keep it mutually beneficial. Ask every time you are planning something or something ends up on your alumni engagement strategy. Ask yourself and ask your committee, like, what is the benefit both to the chapter? What are we as a chapter going to get out of having alumni involvement? And how is this going to benefit the alumni? Because let's be honest, everything that we do in life has a what about me, what's in it for me aspect of things. And so as long as you can communicate what's in it for your alumni member to participate or to be connected, to be involved, then they are more apt to be, to actually come back and to, raise their hands and show up. So, as we were talking about, what may appeal to one individual may not appeal to others, keep in mind that at a student chapter, something to think about is that for the most part, minus, non-traditional students, we're going to make a huge generalization here, but that the majority of student members in AK Psi are probably from the 18 to 22, 18 to 23, maybe so high as 25 age range. And what may appeal to that age group is going to be very different for the 45-year-old, this girl in the room, or the 85-year-old alum who still is interested in being connected and knowing what is going on at his or her student chapter, but then, what might be interest of that student member. So, and someone who is right out of college may have a different time, have different time availability than someone who has children or someone who is at a various different levels within a company. And then the great thing is that, you get some time back again when you hit the retirement age. So there's different things to think about as you are planning your engagement strategies. So as we spoke a little bit about time, talent, and treasure, and those being the three obligations of alumni membership, if you work your engagement strategy thinking of those three things, then that's a way for success. That is a success strategy. So a couple of ideas. Time and talent often go hand in hand. So what's really the difference of those? Not a whole lot, right? So when you're planning your chapter calendar, look for opportunities for alumni to participate. If you do not have an engagement strategy right now, if you have no alumni programs planned or, already on the calendar for next year, don't stress. Don't worry about that. What I would encourage you to do is take your overall chapter calendar and see where you can't invite alumni to participate. So we already talked about a couple things. You can invite people to come back to that graduating senior ceremony. And right now is a great time. Your role is so much easier right now because we are all living in this virtual environment. It is a lot easier to walk down the hallway, hop on a Zoom call, and be active and be engaged than it is to get in the car, fight traffic after work, going in a different direction than home, a 45-minute drive or something along those lines, and then knowing that you got to do it all over again just to get home. So use this to your advantage, right? You don't have to limit right now to just local alumni. Your alumni members who live in Paris, France can hop on a Zoom call and be local and be engaged with your chapter because of the virtual world that we are all living in. So we'll chalk that up as a positive in this crazy, very unfortunate negative time that we're all living in. So, for rituals, there is that benefit both to the chapter and to the alumni because they get to renew those vows that they took when they became initiated. And of course, for the chapter, the benefit is that you have more people involved, and it's a great thing. Another idea would be for recruitment events. So show off your successful alumni, invite them back, show potential members who they can become. That's the benefit to the chapter. Plus, again, just more people. There's always strength in numbers. So the benefit to the alum is that they get to understand and know what's still happening on their college campus. They get to understand and know what's happening in their chapter. They feel a little bit closer to the information. They're a little bit more in the quote unquote know. And a lot of times these individuals are working for organizations that always have their eye and their ear on the pulse of who the up and comers are. They want to know who they can be expecting resumes from and who's the next great get from a college campus. And let's be honest, who are the next great gets? The next great gets are AKSI people, right? So there's a reason for them to come. They can almost use it almost as a recruiting event for them, for those individuals. Also for time, there's just generic social events. So networking opportunities, bowling, when we can all go out and actually have social events. Again, when homecomings come back around, when there's opportunities for physical presence together, these are just what time is there for. So, think of those as you're planning your calendar. What would be appropriate to invite alumni back to? For events that you're hosting, again, we go back to a great thing right now about this virtual world is that anyone can be a speaker for any group of people at any specific time. If for some reason you on your campus do not have access to the technology to produce something like we're having tonight, like a Zoom, or if it's limited or, you just can't get it for whatever reason, please reach out to us. We have the technology, the capability for you all to utilize. We want to make sure that you are as successful as possible in hosting what you need to do and having the technology that you need to be successful for this upcoming year and really anytime. But for your speaker events, professional events, alumni, they can be both the speakers or they can be in the audience, regardless of if we're in a virtual world or let's say we are back on campus full time. It was fall of 2019. If your university is hosting a professional event, ask if alumni are able to attend or non-student members are able to attend. And if they are, then invite them. You have now provided a service to the alum. They may not have known about this opportunity, this professional continuing education, professional development, and that's the benefit to them. And the benefit to you is that look at you guys, you look good. They are more apt to now come back and participate in other ways because you have now provided a service for them as well. And then there's also, for example, workshops, resume reviews, mock interview practice, things of that nature. It's so long as you ask, alumni are willing to step up to the plate. They are willing to do what you need them to do, so long as you give them clear-cut and a clear-cut understanding of what is expected of them, clear instructions on when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and enough time and enough notice to get it on their calendar. So then the third way that a mutually beneficial engagement strategy is through Treasure. And so you can utilize your alumni database to seek out donations to your chapter and to seek out ways for them to give their time and talent as a volunteer, which we kind of already talked about. So in terms of being a donor, through the Alpha Kappa Psi Foundation, there's ways that an individual alumni can give money that the student chapter can use, and the individuals within that chapter can use to help offset the cost of fraternity programming. So if an individual, would like to, because they have received they have felt the connection, they have continuously been engaged by their student chapter, they're provided opportunities to take advantage of connection points, because you've done a great job of keeping them informed and engaged all along. When they're asked for, a sponsorship opportunity, they may very well be able to meet that appeal. So there's ways for us through our chapter educational grants. An individual gives a $100 donation through the foundation. We then pass that money along to the student chapter to help offset the cost of, attending PBLI. So PBLI registration fees, hotel accommodations, travel costs, things of that nature. And we also have a way that we can build an endowment for your chapter so that you can utilize the investment income that is produced by that on an annual basis, again, to help offset the cost of attending fraternity programming. So there's a lot more nitty gritty about all of that. If you are interested in learning more about that, we can get that information back out to you. But in the essence of time, we want to move along. So far, any questions, comments, concerns? I just have spoken a whole lot. Yeah, great.
I think you mentioned at one point, like if we need anything like Zoom or whatever that we could ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, possible, or would you guys, because things are more virtual now, like consider, so I've done like some alumni programming on Zoom, but they have that 40-minute timer. So if I don't know if like AKSI, a foundation is okay to like support chapters and give an upgraded version of Zoom that doesn't have that time.
Right. Yeah, that is a great question. So yes, so we do have a paid access for Zoom. So we have like an unlimited. We have the not the highest, but not the lowest. So we can accommodate, I think, up to 300 people on a call, and then we have unlimited timing for our calls. So if there is an opportunity, a chance that you need something, a Zoom room or something along those lines, if you will just reach out to your resource coordinator, or really it is CERC@akpsi.org. My fingers just hit that right, and I just put it in the chat. That way, and just inquire about it. It would be dependent upon availability. So if we only have so many lines, so just as long as no one else is using it, that should not be a problem.
Okay.
So yeah, most definitely. That's great. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. I had a quick question too.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned like how if your university is hosting events and you want to invite alumni, or just like having better communication with them, you were talking a lot about that. And one issue that I've been seeing a lot, just like through summer planning, and like talking to the past people that were in the same position, is that when we do reach out to alumni, it's really hard to get like responses in a timely manner from a lot of them. Sometimes we'll hear back from one or two, but it's really hard to hear back from a lot of them. And then it's like kind of hard to gauge, like how many people will be able to come to this event and things like that. So do you have any tips or suggestions on how to get that communication flowing better?
Oh my goodness gracious. Did you just set me up here? I mean, did someone plant that question? That was fantastic. Okay. So yes, actually, this is great. So thank you so much for the question. So short answer is that the more information you can provide to your alumni members as soon as possible, the better off you will be. So, and consistent messaging. Of course, you may not know everything that's happening this entire year. Even in the perfect year, you're not going to know every little detail. However, if you have a very generic calendar of events that says on, September 15th, we're going to have our initiation. On October 27th is homecoming at the university. On December 10th, we're having our holiday party, so on and so forth. There's professional events throughout here. Send that out to your alumni members at the very earliest possible opportunity possible that you can. So that way, and you can use it as a mark your calendars. We would love to see you. More information is forthcoming. And then always have a link to that calendar of events in every single piece of communication that you're sending to your alumni members, because that way people can mark their, just like it says, you mark their calendar earlier, and they might, when other items are getting, added to their, school calendars come out for their children, and, meetings for work come out, and everything else happens, they already have your event on their calendar, and they're more apt to keep it there. With that too, consistent communication in terms of, okay, so we have this, on September 15th, this is happening. You already have it on your calendar. Here's more information about that event, where we're hosting it, how it's going to be hosted, questions, comments, concerns can come back to. And then always, if you want to know when they're coming, a trick is two things. One, put an RSVP in there saying, I am coming. And then also that includes their email address, and then also include a deadline to RSVP. Create the urgency for someone to say yes. Space is limited, RSVP. Claim your space now, RSVP. And then you have a separate list of individuals who have said yes, and then you can communicate with them separately as you get closer to the event. A week before the event, next Saturday, we're going to be starting at 7 o'clock. We can't wait to see you. Here's the dress code. Here's any other bits of information, 3 days before the event. We are excited to see you. We cannot wait. And then the day of the event, one last push. And, if you have texting capabilities like Google Chat or Google Messaging, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head because I just used it for the first time the other day, but that's another way to communicate with your alum, just to remind them, because I will be honest, there's two things. I hear you. There's nothing worse than planning an event, having people say they're coming. Yes, Hangouts, thank you. Have people coming and say they're coming, and then one person shows up. That being said, a lot of times what happens is that the day just simply gets away from people, and you know how it is. I'm sure you come home from class or you come home from work and you sat down and you're flipping through Instagram or you're on Snapchat and then TikTok, whatever, and the next thing you know, you're like, crud, it is 5 minutes to 7, and the last thing I want to do is put my pajamas back in the drawer, put real clothes on, and go back out of the house. So the more information you can provide to them, and just hit them hard with it. So hopefully that answered your question. So if not, okay, perfect, excellent. So, along that same line, for those that are marketing majors in the room, like, you can probably do this better than I can, but just keep in mind those 3 C's of marketing. So once you have your database of alumni, you just need to foster those relationships. If they don't feel connected to what is happening in your chapter and feel as if they know what is going on, they're not going to have any interest in coming, and they're not going to want to support your events. And on top of that, you just want to make sure that you're putting on great things. You want to make sure you're putting on great events. And that all starts with that initial piece of communication: where to show up, where you're supposed to park, what the dress code is, if there's food involved, any rules of engagement that are surrounding that event, very much, just as a reminder, there is no smoking, there is no, there's no alcohol on the premises, whatever those things that you would want to know before you go to an event so that you can feel comfortable walking in that room. You want to make sure that you provide that for your alumni members. And for your student members as well, let's be honest, for everybody that's going to be attending your event. So, for the content, a good rule of thumb would be to keep track of those events that you've invited your alumni for, and just look at your metrics, see how many people RSVP'd, and then see how many people attend, and just keep a running list of those so that people can know year over year, okay, this event we thought it was going to be fantastic. We did everything we could possibly do to make it fantastic, and it just flopped. And you know what? Believe me, being in a meeting and events for 17 years, those things happen. They still happen. They happen every day. And it's not because you did anything wrong. It just may not have been the right event at the right time for the people that you were inviting. So don't get discouraged. Also, make sure that when you are communicating with your alumni, make sure that you're thinking about what they might be interested in. You know, there's Google Analytics that you can utilize to look at clicks and open rates and things of that nature. So, you know, think about what you're putting out. You know, it's not just consistently like, come help us, help support us, help be, you know, come and help us. It is, here's what's going on in our chapter. Here's, you know, pledge biographies. So do those have more clicks, more interest, more engagement versus alumni spotlights? You know, inviting alumni to a brother camping trip versus a professional trip to an alumni's company. You know, what's getting more hits, what's getting more interest, and then, you know, look at your demographics, thinking about, you know, if we're looking at our entire calendar of events and we have, you know, all of these events that are catered to the young alumni group, you know, what can we do as an organization, as a chapter, to engage that older crowd? And it may very well be simply asking, what would you want us to do that would get you to come back? And it's okay. Be prepared. Some of them may say, you can't, I'm just done. And you have to just accept that, and that's okay, because there's going to be a core group of individuals that are going to want to be engaged. I cannot tell you the frequency in which I have alum, and Evan probably can say this too, that we have alumni members reach out and be like, thanks for reaching out. Hey, what's going on in the Mu Omega chapter? Like, how are they doing? What's their numbers look like? Things of that nature. So even just, you know, a year in review or a recap, like we have, our membership numbers are such. Here's pictures of our events. You know, think about all of this as you are looking at your different communication channels. You know, you've got newsletters and emails, and there's social media. You know, what information do you want to put out there? And there's also that collaboration group that Steve referenced within the My AKSI community. You know, you can post in there and just have discussions in there. You know, what do you guys want to see? Great, and then try to deliver on that. But when you're delivering on that, make sure that you as a chapter have the capacity to follow through on it. Make sure that it is, you know, don't go crazy and say, we're going to have 25 emails in 1 month and we're going to put out 5 newsletters. And I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but just know what you can handle, keeping in mind that you've got a lot of other things going on and that you don't want to say that you're going to do something and then not be able to provide it. So just make sure that it is regular and that it is scheduled communication. Also something to keep in mind that, you know, alumni are not just limited to those that are from your chapter. So when you are thinking of an alumni newsletter, yeah, sure, that should probably just go to just alumni from your chapter, because those are the people that are going to be most interested in what is going on with, you know, they see pictures from campus, they get taken back there about all the great times that they've had on that same campus within that same Greek letter chapter. But when you're thinking about events and alumni involvement and alumni engagement, diversify that communication strategy and think about local alumni who are not from your chapter. So how do you find who those people are? At any point in time, you can request a list of local alumni from either that from your resource coordinator, so CERC@aksi.org, or our fantastic foundation administrative assistant, Stephanie. She can provide that to you as well. So her email is stephanie@aksi.org. So if you're having a super exciting, you know, professional development speaker and you want to invite all local alumni, please do. They want to be engaged. They want to be involved. And so think about that too when it comes to hosting alumni gatherings as such. You don't have to invite them all for every single thing, but there's, you know, they do not live where their chapter is. So you are their connection to AK Psi. You're that, that brotherhood. You're feeling the brotherhood need and want that they have as such. We talked a little bit about newsletters, can cover a variety of content. Frequency can vary. Just make sure that it remains consistent from term to year, year to year. Make sure your emails are personalized. They're a little bit more frequent than a newsletter. Social media, it's free. Last minute reminders, and then just keep it maintained. There's nothing worse than stumbling upon someone's Instagram account and there's no new pictures, or a Twitter account that no one has used in 3 years. That's a huge turnoff. I mean, it's kind of one of those obvious things, but it's amazing how fast, turnover within an officer ranking and officer groups allows for some of those things to kind of fall through the cracks. So with that too, then, for alumni events, just a couple of other things to talk about and touch on in there. Again, we talked about just planning a great event. Think about everything through from start to finish. If you have a great event, they're more apt to come back to the next great event. So some of the things that, I'd love to hear, what are some of the events that you have had that have just been fantastic and received 2 thumbs up, if you have had them, if you know of any? It's all good. Oh yeah, go. Yeah, Aretha, yes, yay.
Awesome, cool. So last semester, for fall semester, during recruitment, and I'm sure that every other chapter does this too, where like every single day of the week is like a different theme. So our director of recruitment last semester wanted to do like a case study event for the PNMs to see like I guess, the kind of leader they would be on a team. And then the director of recruitment reached out to me and asked if we should have, or if like his vision was to have alumni be a part of like the judging panel. So basically we had this case study event, and there was like 10 different teams of like each team had 10 people, 5 of them were PNMs, 2 of them were actives, and then 1 of them was like an alumni. And the reception that I got from that event was really cool, because the alumni felt like they had a say as to so they had a say and had some kind of input as to like the new class of potential brothers coming into our chapter. And then we also wanted to have them on board so that if the PNMs were to give a suggestion of something like, what if we wanted to spend like $5,000 on the budget or something, then the alumni would have industry experience to tell them, hey, like that's not really realistic, like in the quote unquote world. So the reception that I got from the alumni from that event was really positive, and they were like, yeah, we'd love to, if you guys are going to keep doing this again, like we'd love to back and be invited back. So that would be a suggestion I would have for other chapters if you really want to, I guess, like you said, involve alumni, because I think something that I've noticed, like a struggle in our chapter, is that, like for example, this class of seniors, so class of 2020, they know like the previous like class of like let's say 2018 up until like class of 2021, but then like 10 years now, if they were to come back to an event to, I guess, reconnect with the brothers, that they don't really recognize anyone. So there's like this brief like 5-year span as to when they were in college, like they recognize people that when they were a freshman, like seniors and juniors. So when they graduated, of course they still kept in touch, but like 10 years from now they don't really have that kind of personal connection. So kind of recruiting event was really fun for them to be like, oh, like it's really cool to get to hear. And I heard from some of the PNMs too that ended up getting initiated, or not initiated, but like, inducted and given a bid, that they were like, yeah, like I remember this one alumni was telling me during the case study event, and I was like, oh my God, like I recruited them, so it was fun to get that feedback from both ends. So that would be something that was really successful in our chapter.
That is fantastic, and you're right. There is that. It's very strange when you feel like you know everyone when you are in school, and then you graduate and you're like, the further out you get from graduation, when you go back to campus, you're like, no one looks familiar. I don't know anybody here. And it's kind of intimidating sometimes to come back, even though that was your home for so long. And so when you're getting people consistently engaged and a purpose and a reason to come back in a safe environment, in a helpful environment, that is fantastic. It just made that connection all so much better. Everybody else think of other ideas, but I did want to read Angie's here because she said that Omega Rho recently had its 15-year anniversary. So that's fantastic. And they did a Kahoot based on their chapter's history as well as a meet and greet. And they had great turnout from alumni, including some of the founding brothers and the first few presidents. It was conducted through Zoom, so non-local alumni had the opportunity to attend. So that's another way. Just make it fun, make it easy, and make it accessible. That's great, Angie.
Yeah,
anyone else want to share? Yeah. Evan,
if I can say, once you get to be like my age, when you're, out of college for a couple of years, as an alumni, you'll do anything to feel nostalgic for your college again, and especially your fraternity again. So especially, the first 5 years when students graduate and they become alumni, that's the best time to reach out to them, because they're kind of begging to relive the glory days like I am.
So when Evan goes back to IU for homecoming, he goes and visits his fraternity and gets to be engaged again with them, and he keeps his engagement. That's right. That's awesome. Anyone else? Any ideas?
I have one, you guys.
Yeah.
So, I just started the position, so I kind of only started in the summer. So all I've had is virtual events, but the two that I had, one we had was a suggestion from alumni was do a brotherhood talk where alumni comes back from his industry and he does a talk on Zoom to all of chapter and alumni. And so he kind of talks about for us, one person talked about switching careers because he graduated in one degree and then got a job in something else. So that's a good professional one. And then we tried doing happy hour, and I feel like people are always down to do happy hour. But the problem
is very true.
To make sure, I think I got really excited about having everyone on the call, but then everyone came on, and then there was nothing there was no games or anything. So I should have planned a game, I guess. So make sure if you do that, you plan a game to do.
That is great. Those are both two great ideas and a consideration for future, right? So, and for success for the future, and taking for that, consistent improvement, continual improvement process is that happy hours are great. And we needed something that was kind of that forced icebreakery networking conversation. It couldn't just be popping on, or it would kind of be like we all were sitting there at the beginning of the first, 8 o'clock Eastern going, okay, who's gonna start this conversation, right? There's got to be that conversation starter. So, those are great, and that's the other thing too. I mean, you had a great idea within that. Ask alumni what they'd be willing to do and what they want. That's it's super easy way to deliver on an expectation is by asking what they want and then doing it. So, right. Any other ideas? Well, some of the other things that, we've seen being successful are, okay, once we're able to, some of these fair enough, we have to wait till we're all able to be in the same space again together. I don't know if everybody else is just craving that as much as we are here, at least I am, but, and I live with 3 other people. So, I mean, yeah. But, alumni picnics, alumni barbecues, if you have, sporting events, outings, if you're lucky enough to have sporting teams within the city in which your college university is, or even just going to, the football game for your university, or a lacrosse game, or to, support the swim team, whatever that might be. Having game nights is super easy and super inexpensive to host. You really just need everybody to bring games, board games, and, have a space to host that inside, outside. You can plan these types of things that are around AK Size Incorporation Day or Founders Day, pick up a cake, things of that nature, have an alum bring a cake, whatever it might be. Don't have to have any food at all. It can be bring your own snacks, just, as a pitch-in type of situation. Obviously, homecoming's easy, as an idea. You can double dip there with the university. They are already trying to get their alumni back to campus. So play off of what they have planned for that week. If they are planning a breakfast of champions, then make sure that you're all meeting at said breakfast of champions. There's no need for you all to add a bunch of things onto that. And connect with your alumni development office at your university. Alumni relations, alumni development, it might just be the development office. It's going to change on every university's campus, but there's also opportunities that they will be like, you want us to promote this for you? It's a win-win, and then it's less that you all have to do as well. Flag football, kickball, other sorts of wiffle ball-y type events just to get people back and moving. And that's also something to think of when it comes to diversifying your activities, because that type of activity, like a kickball or a park outing or a wiffle ball tournament, whatever it might be, that can be family friendly. So it could be encourage, bring your spouses, bring your kids, this is a family picnic. That way people with younger kids don't have to find babysitters. It's just reducing that barrier for involvement. So, we talked a lot about other things, but most importantly, just ask them. The worst they can say is no, and the best thing they can say is, yes, I will be there. I will be your speaker, and by the way, I will sponsor you as well. So those are just some of the things, to also keep in mind, just the time of year, the day and the time of the week, anything else that's major that's coming up, holidays and things of that nature. So, Terry, you had said that you could also potentially do Jackbox games over Zoom. The management team has hosted that as well. We had a lot of fun. You learn a lot about other people when you're hosting some of those games. So those are all great things that you can do as well too. We already talked about some of these things. I just want to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Maintain, we talked about making sure you give as much notice as possible. Remind, prepare that chapter calendar, send it out early, maintain purpose behind each of your alumni events, and then just focus on accomplishments for those that are in your chapter and alumni as well, because people always love to see their name in lights, and they love to see, learn about all the other great things that people are doing. All right, I've talked a lot. What other questions do you all have?
So I have another question.
Yeah.
So I wanted to implement this last semester, and I put out a survey for the alumni if they would be interested in doing some kind of alumni active mentorship program. Because I think, like you said, when people on AK side, we want to show them with the help of AK side, they've been able to land these amazing companies, and you can be as successful as they are. So how would you recommend kind of navigating that situation and creating a mentorship program virtually? And I'd love to hear other people's, other VPARs, if you guys have implemented mentorship programs in your chapters and how successful they have been, or what you wish you could have, if something happened that you wish you would have learned. And yeah, so just in general, when it comes to alumni active mentorship and how you can encourage, of course, us as our role as VPAR to help navigate the situation, but also for actives to reach out to alumni and create some kind of bond in that aspect.
All right, who has ideas? who has experience. Let's hear it. Terry, bring it on.
Yeah, so that was something that I was also thinking about too, Terry, is that from what I've heard from a lot of the actives, like for example, if someone is like an accounting major and they want to reach out to an alumni who's working at like a Big Four company, just like I guess they just wanted to get some mentorship and guidance as to how they can potentially get to that company, like look over the resume and all that stuff. And yes, our chapter does have like obviously like director of professionalism and all that stuff, but obviously having someone who is already in the industry. But that breakdown of like, let's say there's 10 actives and I can only get a hold of like one alumni, obviously that would seem a little overwhelming to some alumni. So I guess just asking them in general, like their industry experience and how they got to where they are now. I don't know if you have any experience with that, Terry, or if you have any suggestions in addition to what you said.
So yeah, I mean, I was kind of mentioning too, like, I mean, if it is kind of an imbalance, then it would be, I think, kind of less of a mentorship and more of maybe a, you know, like a speaker event or something. Like if there are that many people, like a small group kind of like speaker session, if they would be willing to do something like that. Or even maybe if that's, you know, a little bit too formal for them, then, you know, you can also do sort of a meet and greet, you know, maybe do a talk over dinner, you know, whatever. Just kind of, I mean, that's something that I would suggest to kind of, you know, have them meet some of the newcomers, the student members, you know, that kind of thing, that are coming up into their industry. And then, yeah, kind of, you know, the mentees sort of situation. And maybe that would be a little bit better, I guess, of a forum. If you have a lot of people, maybe that's a good suggestion. But if you have, you know, one or two, then I think, like you were saying, it would be a lot less overwhelming. Maybe that could be more of a mentor-mentee situation. Just depends. I mean, maybe not all the student members are going to get the same thing out of, you know, every specific alumni member, but basically work with, you know, whatever skills and talents that they have to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
That's great. And Jenny had put in the chat too that Rose started theirs last year, and something that they did and they really emphasized was to garner interest from the alumni first before introducing the program to the student members that are in the chapter. So that way they could match interested mentees to mentors versus the other way around and seeking that out. The other thing that I think makes it successful is to lay out the expectations from the get-go of what is expected of the alumni member. Like we would ask you to have, for example, like one phone call, one Zoom call, and if you'd be willing to meet up, you know, and that's for an entire semester. And then after that, like then those are just the expectations. It could be greater than that, but it could, you know, that's just at the minimum. And that way they know they're not getting into some crazy, you know, time consuming something that they're not going to be able to fulfill as well. So, you know, and then Rodrigo had mentioned about like having potentially, you know, tiers of mentorship. If you are a junior or senior level, like juniors like one-to-one, or, you know, senior like 3 to 5 people. So, you know, one thing that we did as an organization as part of like Brotherhood Unbounded was we introduced AK Psi Pals. And so it was not intended necessarily to be a mentor-mentee program, but in some instances it has turned into that. So we just asked if people wanted to be paired with and meet somebody else, and you know, student to student, alumni to alumni, alumni to student, and then our Alec on our staff did all of those pairings and matchings based on interest and, you know, personal interest as well as career interest and things of that nature. And just it was just very much like, Joe, here's Susie's email. Susie, here's Joe's email. Go forth and connect. So, and yeah, that is still ongoing. We're going to be making an additional group of matches, so you can always go online and sign up to do that as well. So, yeah, but that's, you know, that's a great way to get people involved. So, and thanks for everybody's feedback. What other questions do you have? ideas, thoughts to share? And if you can't think of them tonight, that's okay too.
Just jumping off I guess getting alumni to want to even like get involved in that mentorship thing. Since we're obviously all virtual now, you could also reach out to like chapters wherever and just reach out to their alumni if they're willing to. I mean, for my internship at City, I have 2 mentors. That's why I bring up the junior and senior ones. My senior mentor is the Buffalo president. So he's got in charge of like 5 of us. And then my junior mentor is from Tampa. And we just hop on Zoom calls like every other week. So.
That is fantastic. Yeah, again, the benefits of being in this virtual world and everybody being more comfortable working this way is just great for some of these connective opportunities. So that's great. All right, so last thing, I hope it wasn't clicking too quickly. Okay, so there's a couple other resources that you all can look for within the My AK Sci community. So within the knowledge base, there's samples of and a guide to creating an alumni newsletter, as well as there's a document about engaging your alumni, so that will help when you're planning events, things of that nature, very specific questions to think for. Evan, thank you so much for putting that AK Sci PAL sign up in the chat. That is fantastic. You're so on top of it. And then also on our YouTube channel, there are 2 different playlists. One is just a generic officer development playlist that I would encourage you all to watch, and then also the VP of Alumni Relations playlist. So some of it will cover what we've gone through tonight, but as there's other information within those different playlists and different knowledge-based resources for you. But most of all, I do want to say thank you. I'm excited to see the engagement opportunities that you all are going to provide for alumni members of AK Sci. You know, student membership is a short 4 years, 4 or 5 years for some people. Some instances it's only 1, and sometimes it's only a semester. So as we said, AK Sci is for life. And you all have a great opportunity to encourage that and to engage your alumni members. I am going to type in my email address in the chat box. We try to keep things simple at the Heritage Center. It's just our first names with @aksci.org, so jessica@aksci.org. If you have any questions at any time, feel free to reach out. We can hop on a Zoom one-to-one. We can have a phone call. We can just chat over email, chat over whatever. But happy to answer any questions that you might think of in the future. But other than that, on behalf of Evan, everybody else on the call, I just want to say thank you so much for your time tonight. Have a great rest of your evening. And for those of you that might be headed to bed after this, sweet dreams. Have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Well, thanks,
Thank you, guys. Bye.